I'm Brian McWhite. I'm the Director of Agent Relationships here at JP Willman Realty in the Twin Cities. I'm here with one of my favorite people in the brokerage, legitimately, Bridget Kirkpatrick. And we were just talking about what we do with our hands during interviews.
We do. We hold them.
The car was running real good today. The Talladega Nights thing.
The Talladega Nights
Yeah.
thing.
Thanks for making the time to do this.
Absolutely. It's fun to be here.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to talk a little bit. I kind of want to start with the backstory.
Sure.
Like, what were you doing leading up to coming to JP Willman?
Sure.
Tell me a little bit about that, and then
Sure.
I want to hear what attracted you to JP Willman.
Absolutely. I was at another brokerage a little bit closer to home, and I went there through a high school friend. There's a fair amount of give back mentality with the other brokerage, which I liked, but the business building piece was lacking for me.
Sure.
And I'm a little older than a lot of new agents. I mean, I started in this field in my mid-40s, and
That's not uncommon, though.
It's not that uncommon, but I just felt like there were certain business pieces I didn't need the hand-holding.
Yep.
And when I got here, there was almost an organic understanding of where are you with being able
Yep.
to do your business pieces.
Yep.
Even just having a meeting with someone and being able to pull up what we need and okay, you're organized, or
Yep.
you created that, you're creative. Okay, good. So and then you're not so good at this piece over here, let's beef that up.
Yeah.
And there's a team of people here. It seems like there's always someone that can answer a question or get back to you quickly, even if it's on the weekend, and that's huge to me because that's why I'm not my own broker.
It's huge to us. It's huge to us.
Yeah.
I would never be satisfied working in a brokerage where, like, a new agent comes in, we're kind of like, okay, here's our system, good luck.
Right.
Ask the system if you have questions. Like, no, we want to engage with where you are, understand who you are,
Right.
understand what your strengths are and what weaknesses we can help, support.
Right.
So I'm glad that you've found that here. Tell me what you enjoy about your career.
Before I was in this profession, I was a teacher, and then I did
What
a
grade?
lot of
I feel like I could guess.
everything but
Okay.
high school.
Okay.
I was focused on high school. That's what I went to school for. But I ended up, my first teaching job ever was little kids, preschoolers to like 5th grade, teaching them Spanish.
Oh, wow.
Because I speak Spanish. So that was my first job out of college, and I had a degree in English. But then I taught high school, I taught junior high, came back here and I taught college for 1 year as an adjunct faculty. That was like utopia teaching because there's no parental part where my kid's not,
Sure.
and none of that. But I love that I get to use some of that background in teaching. Like when I list a house, I do boards. I do like a bulletin board. I do. And I put up everything about the house and where the dog park is. And
In the house?
In the house.
Oh,
I put up
I
a bulletin
love
board.
that. I didn't know that.
It's easy. It's geeky. I have pictures. But
It's such a good idea.
And, I can leave you mints, but wouldn't you rather read about where the dog
Yeah,
park is?
of course. Right.
So
Yeah, give them a sense of like what it would be like to live here.
Totally.
Oh, I love that.
So I like doing that part for my clients and just showing them, hey, there's way more add value. And I actually like breaking down all the different, I call them like hurdles, like, hey, with the Olympics we're just on, or handing off the baton. There are these spots where we can really fall down and get owies if we're not careful, through the appraisal process, through the inspection process. And do we need a real, all that definition, explaining that. Yeah. I think the bad experience I had with the realtor in my past was kind of what a lot of people have with communication. They just kind of ghosted us before we called it ghosting, but they just kind of would like, I don't know what's happening with your listing. I don't know if we got the house.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of the other way. Hey, about 8, 9 o'clock, is it okay if we kind of call the ball and we don't know anything? I text you, we don't know, see you in the morning.
Yeah.
Can at least you go to bed knowing, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not holding out
you're not
information.
left hanging out there. I know. It's so funny that the two realtors I worked with before I became a realtor were also not very good realtors, not communicative, totally just along for the ride as we kind of like decided what we were going to do. We felt lost a lot of the time. And it was one of the reasons that when I initially was invited to come into real estate, I said like, no thanks, I'm not really interested. I was doing sales for a telecom company. And it wasn't until, this is going to sound very familiar to you, it wasn't until I met with Josh Pomerlow and a few other people in the organization who talked about relationship, building great lives, building great opportunities for agents. That's what got me excited, was the relational part and the kind of the values part and taking good care of people part,
Right.
helping them through sometimes really difficult transitions.
Yeah.
Like that's what drew me to it, and that was not at all what my experience in real estate was.
Right.
So it's exciting to me that we're clearly both trying to build our careers on that. Like serving, helping,
Absolutely.
making it a great experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Going the extra mile. I know it's cliche to say, but doing those, you called it value-added things that change the whole experience for both buyers and sellers.
Sure. It's way more important. Like I've had some some family or some friends, come to me, yeah, do you want to work with me? And I said, one of the first things I say is, if you ever don't get the warm fuzzies from this, if this isn't working for me, you can even do the lame thing and text me. I don't care. I would rather be able to maintain my relationship with you. And that was fostered here.
How was it fostered here?
The first meeting I ever had with Josh, he goes, I don't like to usually hand off books to people, but he said, hey, you got to read this Ninja Selling. Mm-hmm. And it's all about relationship building and not so much about, and I did car sales for about a year and a half, and I was awful at it because I couldn't clamp people down in
totally
a 40-minute time period. I just couldn't build that relationship fast enough, and I didn't want to be the pusher. And in this business, I tell people all the time, it's not so much me helping you decide which house to get as it is me helping the seller to decide you're the buyer for this house. Mm-hmm. I'm convincing them that you're the best buyer. Mm-hmm. That is all what we're doing. We're putting a pretty bow around your package here in this market to try and get you pretty. And all my people are in houses right now.
Yeah.
No, they are. They're in houses.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's difficult. So
I'm really glad you identified that we try to put relationships before real estate as much as we possibly can. Mm-hmm. I think that's a key part of why people wired like you gravitate toward us. Mm-hmm. Since you've been here, what have you found useful? What's helped you in your career and in your business here?
Probably the marketing, the AV people that have helped me produce things and helped me know what's effective in, especially social media marketing. Because I walked into it going, it's probably a good idea if I do some.
Right.
That was about my extent after 3 years in the business.
I think that's where a lot
coming from
of
a large,
are.
and I was like, I think I should probably do some. It was kind of that thought of I don't really know what to do, but I should be doing some. And just being able to focus really focus my energy on things I enjoy. And just and highlighting the things I enjoy, letting people into my private life, which isn't all that private, but it's okay.
Sure.
And letting them know. I mean, it was super great because Willman JP Willman Realty was nice and acknowledge, hey, balance. And it's tricky to try and have it all, to be a mom and to do the wife thing and to do all of those pieces well.
It's good to know that one of the key things you found here was some direction and some tools, and here's where a good spot to spend your time and money would be.
Sure.
Not so much over here.
Right. Well, and having, especially like monthly meetings with Cooper, and he's a huge vessel full of wisdom. Yeah. And having him, I always get off the phone with him and expect him to beat me up. It's kind of like, sorry, growing up Lutheran, you expect him to kind of beat you over the head with what you didn't do right. And he's always like, oh my gosh, look how great you're doing over here. And I'm like, I really should look forward to these meetings.
Yeah. He's a good encourager.
He's a super encouraging person, and he shows you where to, you can tie this in with this with a click. And I'm like, a nice little one-click thing is, busy people, this is good. Yeah. And I think the mentality here, the agent first mentality here is super, it's not family first in theory, and then we're going to talk about you because you didn't show up to something.
Sure.
After, never. I've never, ever felt that. And I kind of like that there's no structured, we have a weekly meeting, powwow, for what? Because I don't need that kind of encouragement. I need, the individual and the focus. But
what are the next steps for you in your career? What are you kind of like trying to knock over? I'm excited to hear whatever this is now.
So my husband and I, for about on and off 3-4 years, have looked hard for land to build another house, and we've found land, bought land in Colorado. So I intend to get a license in Colorado so I can buy and sell there for clients and here. And I have a son who's turning 18 who really wants to get into this business, and he's got a little bit of my personality, and he's kind of, got a little edge to doing negotiation and stuff, and he'll attract a whole different client base than I will because he's 18 and way hip. Not like me. Anyway, I hope he comes in underneath me and works with me for a while, and I don't know that I want to build up a great big team here, but maybe. I mean,
well, even if you can kind of like build him up and then he can handle more business here. We're meeting with him on Friday. I'm really excited about that.
That's awesome.
What have been some of the challenges that you've experienced in this business, or even, you can talk about specific challenges or challenges in general if you want.
There's a lot of stress involved when you're waiting. Like I'm waiting right now to hear back on a client's offer because I'm pretty empathetic and I kind of feel what they're feeling, and there's a lot of anxiety there.
It seems like you are right in the transaction with them. You're not holding it at arm's length at all.
Well, it doesn't help them if I do, and usually it's family and friends by the time we're done, if not when we start, because it's just, that's what it's about. And When my dad was in excavating, one time he put up a berm for someone, just built a hill for him next to their house, and he's got the truck excavator out there doing the job. And he liked to tell the story because he thought the lady was a little cuckoo, and finally got the best of him because there really was no rhyme or reason to putting this hill there.
Yeah.
And so he says, "I'm sorry, ma'am. I've been here for like 4 days and I'm finally done. Do you mind if I ask why you're putting this here?" "Well, if you must know, I like to walk around in the nude and I don't want anyone to see me." And I tell people that and they're like, "Oh my gosh." And I said, "Do you think we're going to get to know each other a little bit in this process?" "You bet your booty we are, because y'all don't know why you need that extra room and what I don't want to know, but you're probably going to tell me."
I wanted to know. I'm not sure I want to know now.
Tell me anyway. And that's, so it can be a stressor because you deeply care. And it was really interesting the last really hard buyer I had that we looked at. I think we looked at, I don't know, a lot. We offered on 15 properties and got the 16th one.
Oh, wow.
By that time, my family knows their family by name, and my husband's all relieved and invested because, my gosh, I've spent all this, Aaron Brockovich, I'm never here. I'm always gone. "Mom, you're never here." And I'm like, "Yeah, but this little family just do kindergarten and he's in a house."
Yeah.
Kindergarten picture. House, not apartment.
Right.
Okay, cool. So it's that, and it is a little bit of a stressor when your 10-year-old says, "My gosh, you're gone a lot now because I'm busier."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, sorry, that's just kind of the way it rolls."
Yeah. And I get it too. I mean, I experience so much dad guilt for whenever I got to leave my kids to go do whatever. So I really get that. I think that's a sign that you're deeply in love with your kids, not that you're doing anything wrong.
Truly. I heard an actress once say, because she was gone a lot from her kids, she said, "I really have to work actively for my heart to be in the same place my feet are." And I was like, "Ooh."
Wow.
I'm like, "Yeah, I do that." And it's like guilt of I'm not there, but it's like, well, why not just be here? It's really a lot of work to try and be here and be there.
Yeah. Well, I guess that leads me to my last question.
Yeah.
I mean, you're known in this office as a bringer of energy and life and brightness. And do you wake up that way in the morning? Is that after 5 cups of coffee? What is that?
Actually, I just talked to somebody about that yesterday. I was really young, and I remember praying and saying, "What's the objective? What am I here for?"
Yeah.
And I think I was probably like 13, 14, and I very clearly heard, "Just be sweet. Just keep being sweet." And I'm like, that's the lamest goal ever. Like, that's lame. No, but it's older you get, the more chances you have to be bitter and angry and grieving. I mean, I can be constantly grieving if I want to, because I know of hurting people everywhere. Pastors especially, those people get all my props because they have to keep all the secrets of all the people that are hurting.
Yep.
But that's,
if your mantra is just be sweet, you're just living it out. So I so appreciate that.
Thank you. Well, the other one that somebody said not too long ago was, you got to do the very best you can with what you have in your hand. And then at the end of the day, you can go to sleep. Otherwise, you're going to beat yourself up constantly. And there was a time when I had very little financially, but I had a nice home. And I looked up in my cupboard, and for some reason I looked up and I went, "Wow, we have a lot of coffee." That's random. And I look outside. My dad was an excavator, and he worked for a crew many times, big groups. And outside, road construction's happening right outside my house. I'm like, I can do this. Made coffee, brought it to the guys. You never saw 5 guys more happy with some dumb girl in her sweatpants bringing her coffee.
Yep.
Do what you can with what you have. Transactionally, decided not too long, I think it was actually not too long after I came here. Every deal I do, I give back to a 501c3 for referral. So if you send me somebody, I come back and say, "Hey, thanks for sending me somebody." State of Minnesota says I can't grease your palm, but what's your favorite charity? And then Rough Start Rescue or Hope for Youth or Alzheimer's Association, one of those is getting a check. And it is so much fun.
Bridget, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. And, let me just thank you on camera so much for your life and your energy and for being so sweet around the office as well. It really makes this place, it helps make this place the place that it is, You were attracted here for a reason, but you've built into that reason so much by your presence here.
Thank you.
So I'm really grateful for it. If you're ever interested in having coffee, lunch, happy hour with me, or I think I can speak for Bridget and say Bridget too, just to hear about what we do here at JP Willman, how we put relationships first, but also how we support agents and their businesses, either of us would love to do that. Thanks so much.
Spread it around, make things grow.
Exactly.
Like poop, it's the money.
Yeah.
I can't take it with me.
Well, that's a good way to end.
You can't take the money with you, so
Can't take it with you.
Spread it around, everybody.
Well,
please outtake that part a little goofy.
Why? Why do we take that part out? I don't think we can edit any of this out.
Leave it in.